English note at the top, page 177. The name Rasha to be in the category of a person who is called wicked refers to a person who transgresses in action, in speech, or even in thought. You imagine, thought is the whole world. There's action and thought. You can live through things that you do in the world of thought. You can make speeches in thought. Better you shouldn't say them, but you could think them. You can even think about thinking. In the world of thought. And the Rasha in this world, the Rasha does things in thought that are inappropriate, according to the Torah, or according to the rabbis, or according to the customs of the Jewish people. Like a person could think about dressing improperly, but wouldn't have the nerve to do it, but would enjoy thinking about it. So a person can be inappropriate, a Rasha, in the world of thought. And therefore they're deserve the name of a wicked person in thought. However, and this is a very important note, the Beinoni is never has this term applied to him or to her, even temporarily, because the Beinoni has come to a level where it's impossible for him or her to indulge in sin under any circumstances, whether in the present or in the future or in the past. Because the past is taken care of. When they do tshuva, they cannot go back there. If it's a real tshuva, they don't go back there anymore. They just don't go there. They're just to share with you a thought from the daily Tanya that we learn. Every day we learn a certain amount of the Tanya and read through the whole book in 1 year, every year, from Yud Tes Kislev. So he said yesterday in the Shir that it was reported, and the Friediger Rebbe came to him and he recorded it. And when they came to the Alter Rebbe, the first thing that a young person heard was the following: what we're not allowed to do, according to Torah, according to the rabbis, we're definitely not allowed to do. There's no question about it. There's no such thing as a little transgression. It's a transgression. It's a rebellion against God. And what we are allowed to do, that is to say, all the things from Klippas Noida, if we take pleasure from them, maybe better not. Sort of like seconds. We eat kosher food. We eat in order to serve Hashem, like the story of the Rebbetzin Rivka, when she was a young married woman of about 18 years old. She was ill. She was an orphan, She was married to the Rebbe Maharash. And she wasn't well, and the doctor said, you have to get up and eat early in the morning. She didn't want to eat without davening. So she got even earlier than usual and davened. Tzemach Tzedek, her father-in-law, saw her davening very early. He said, why are you davening so early? She said, the doctor said, I have to eat before 8 o'clock, so I'm davening early. And Tzemach Tzedek answered her with a very famous line. Anybody know what it is? What he said?
It's better to eat in order to daven.
Right. Better to eat in order to daven than daven in order to eat. So that goes together with what the Alter Rebbe taught, that things that are permissible, just because they're permissible, doesn't mean we have to indulge in them. And in terms of doing a transgression and thinking about it, if the thought falls into your head, well, it's not your fault. Well, unfortunately, we are assailed with thoughts that we don't desire. Like when the bus goes by and there's a picture on the side of the bus that's inappropriate. And you're there, you saw it. Well, it's not your fault. But if the picture was a good picture and it was interesting to you and you took a second look to see it better, that is your fault. Has that happened to you? Yeah. Well, the Beinoni never does that. Never does it. There's an extraordinary case spoken about in the Talmud. Excuse me. About Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef blinded himself. He was a very, very holy person. It's hard to imagine. He was such a holy person. The Yetzer Hara was determined to get him. And so he appeared before him as an immodest woman. So what did he do? He turned away. The direction he turned, she was there. He turned away again. The direction she was there. Turned away again. There she was. He couldn't get away. When he saw he could not get away from this, he put out his eyes. Better I shouldn't see. Wow. Okay, this is the degree to which a Beinoni, it's impossible for him to allow himself to do something that's a sin. So why isn't he a tzaddik? Because he's constantly fighting not to do something wrong. The tzaddik is not fighting to do something wrong. The tzaddik is fighting to do more right, more things right. The tzaddik, like the Rebbe, is fighting the wars of Israel. The Rebbe is fighting all the enemies of the Jewish people. Okay, so that's a comment on what it says on the top of page 177, that the Beinoni has come to a point, he has done such an intense tshuva, it's impossible for him to think. Even the whole thought of doing something inappropriate is repulsive. It's repulsive. It's disgusting. Like they say in Beis Rivka. What do they say in Beis Rivka?
It's nauseous.
Nauseous.
Ah.
You know what nauseous means? It means you vomit. It makes you vomit. Well, that's not enjoying something. So that's the Beinoni. The Beinoni is in control of his thought, speech, and deed. These are the garments of the soul, Rivka. These are the garments of the soul. The Beinoni is in control of the garments with which he or she expresses themselves. But the essence of the soul, which are its 10 faculties, he cannot control. That's what we said, learned on page 1 of the Tanya. Rabbeinu Shalom, who said that? Job, Eov. You created tzaddikim. It's a gift from God. Hashem has made a certain number of souls that they are righteous souls. It's not something that you can get so many credits and then you'll get an award that you're a tzaddik or a tzaddikis. Not really. It doesn't work like that. You can work so hard and get so many credits, spiritual credits, so to speak, that you're a Beinoni and you have control of your thought, speech, and deed. But like I said yesterday, in the name of the Rebbe, nobody promised that it was going to be easy after that. On the contrary, it gets harder. Because when you get near the top of Mount Everest, if you've seen any of these movies that they made of people who are climbing Mount Everest, when they get very close to the top, it's very hard for them even to move a few feet in a day. and the winds are terrible. The storms are horrible. So it's not easy to live on the level of the tzaddikim. Okay, now we're talking about the essence of the divine soul. That's pure godliness. And Hashem created for the divine soul 10 faculties, which are he created them in himself. And he gives of his 10 faculties to the tzaddik. However, in the Beinoni, second paragraph, 177, the Beinoni lei lahen levadan hamalucha. These 10 faculties in the Beinoni do not rule over the city. They do not have sole control. The memshala is sovereignty, be'ir katana, which is the heart of the person. And from the heart comes the influences to all the limbs. Ki'im, except be'itim mizumanim, at certain intervals, at certain times, special times, like time of Shachris. Kamei b'shas kriya shema, like when you say Shema in the morning, if you get up early and it's still dark, and you look that way down Eastern Parkway that way, and you'll see the sky getting a little bit light and then getting bright, radiant, and then turning bright red, and it's like a wash. It's it's beautiful. Well, this is a time that's called Moichin the Godless. Moichin is brains. Godless is greatness. It's a time of, what does it mean, great brains? I'm not sure. I asked a lot of people who are, big learners in Hasidus, and they said, well, sort of like Kriya Shema in the morning. So when you say Kriya Shema, that's a time of Moichin the Godless. I understand it like this. This is just my own svara. You can take it or leave it. That Hashem creates out of himself, in himself, these 10 faculties, which we learned about in chapter 3. 3 intellectual faculties, Chabad, and 7 emotional faculties in the heart. And when he shines his infinite light into any of these faculties, it has an effect. As it says, the first day, what constituted the first day of creation? Hashem focused his energy on the quality of chesed. And there was light. So the quality of chesed shone, irradiated with the infinite light of God, and there was light. On the second day, he focused on the second quality, which is gevura, and there was a division of the waters. And so on. So first thing, when night becomes daylight, becomes day, in this in-between time zone, Hashem is focusing his energy on his quality of chesed, and the world becomes light, and the rooster crows. And this takes place in the physical world with the rooster, and takes place in the spiritual world with the world of Yetzirah, and in the world of Bria, and in the world of Yetzirah. It takes place in every level. There's the Kuntras, it's probably available downstairs in these thin Maimorim that they translate into English by the Rebbe Maharash, called True Existence. I recommend it. It's very, very interesting. So that's what it means, Moichin the Godless. Moichin the Godless means Hashem's Moichin, Hashem's intellect, focuses on God. Godless, the word Gadol refers to Chesed. That's why when we daven, we say in the Shmona Esra, Elokeinu v'Elokei Avosenu, Elokei Abraham. So that's, Abraham is the first. Elokei Yitzchak, the second. Elokei Yaakov is the third. Hagodel, Hagibar, V'Anoira. And then we say, Hashem, you are the Godel, Hagibar, V'Anoira. Godel, greatness goes on kindness. Avram, the quality of Avram with which he served Hashem was kindness, took in guests and gave them food and taught them to bench. And then comes Hagibor. That goes on Yitzchak. Yitzchak served Hashem by digging wells, revealing the hidden water underneath. Much harder avoided. That's Gevura. And then Yaakov had the dream of the ladder, and he woke up and he said, Ma noira hamokim. I said, how awesome is this place? If I had known I wouldn't have gone to sleep. This must be the entrance to the base to Shemayim. And that's the place where the base of English was built. So Hagodol, Hagiber, Hanoira. Hanoira goes on Yaakov. With his dream of the ladder with the angels going up and the angels coming down. He said, Manoira Hamokim. I said, how awesome is this place? The godliness in this place is awesome. So when Hashem focuses on these qualities, focuses his energy on these intellectual qualities, I believe that's what it means. Moichin the godless. Moichin is brains, intellect. Godless is kindness. It's chesed. And so the time of the sun rising is a time of chesed in the world. Okay? Maybe somewhere it says that in Chassidus spells it out very clear. That's just how I understand it. Maybe that's what the Alter Rebbe had in mind when he put this in here. Such as during the recital of Shema. So, Moichin the Godless is is what's going on spiritually at the time that the Jewish law says now is the time to say Shema in the morning, which proclaims the love of Hashem. What do we say when Shema? What is Shema all about? Shema, when we say Shema, we're talking about the unity of God, that everything is God. There is nothing else. There is only God. And together with that is the idea of the exodus from Egypt, that he took us out of Egypt. These are the two things that we focus on when we say Shema in the morning or at night. At this time of prayer, bottom of page 177, Shehi Shas Moichin, the godless Lamaila, in the highest spiritual terms, this is called the time of big brains. When Hashem reveals his big brains, what does the Yetzer Hara do? The Yetzer Hara runs for cover. So I can't stay here. This is not for me. Page 178. V'gam lamata, so similarly, so Hashem is focusing on his quality of chesed, and we get up early in the morning and we see the sun rising. V'gam lamata, so it says gam lamata, that means also here, and lamata means down here below. Ishasa kaishir l'kol adam, this is a special time for every person to, what does it say in English? To ascend to a higher spiritual level. Another time to be inspired. And that's why before we come to yeshiva in the morning to learn, what do? We look up. That's what's behind it. And the word Shema, we learned from the Rebbe Maharash, he revealed this, that Shema is an acronym, I think that's what they call it, where the three letters stand for three words. Su'u Morim Einechem spells Shema. Lift up, Su'u Morim on high, Einechem, your eyes, spells Shema. That's what Shema is all about. Do that every year for the next 60 years, you'll live long. 100 years. Sha'az, because 178, continuing, second paragraph, Sha'az makasher chachma vina v'dash shalayla Hashem, because at that moment when you say Shema and think about what you're saying, you're connecting your chachma, your bina, your das with Hashem. Lahamigdaite, to think deeply. The Gedula Saint Sof Baruch Hu, and here's the word Gedula. Now's the time. Hashem is showing his greatness, so it's a good time for us to think about his greatness. What is his greatness? He's creating the whole world. He's filling the whole world with life. That's his greatness. That's how we see that Hashem is very great. You know, somebody asked me the other day, do you believe in God? How long have you been in Chabad? I said, oh, a long time. How do you believe in God? I said, I don't know so much about God. I know it's in the books about God, but I don't know about God. I know about Hashgacha Pratis. I see it all the time. I don't see God. I see Hashgacha Pratis. It's something that's tangible. I see it all the time. I don't have to meditate on it. It's just obvious. So that's how Hashem shows us his greatness. And when we get up early in the morning, we see the sunrise, that's Hashgacha Pratis. Oh, you didn't expect to see such a wondrous morning, but here it is. La'arer es ha'ava. So this is an appropriate time to awaken, to perceive the greatness of Hashem. And greatness corresponds spiritually to love. So this is a time to awaken love of Hashem. Where? What does Rabbi Gordon say? I'm glad you asked. Where? In the right side of your heart. As explained in previous chapters, meditation on God's greatness, that's his chesed, arouses love of him within your heart. Everything fits. It's like buying a pair of gloves. You have a glove for the right hand. You can't wear it on your left hand. It fits your right hand, not your left. And feeling love in your heart, this love in turn, L'davka boy, leads a person to want to cling to Hashem and to b'kiyam HaTorah and to keep the mitzvahs of the Torah and to learn the Torah, and to feel love of Hashem because I'm learning Torah and I love Hashem because I'm doing mitzvahs. A person can get very excited doing a mitzvah. Like when a new girl comes to the machon and lights candles for maybe the second or third time in her life, she feels a tremendous excitement and love, right? And you know what? It doesn't go away. It stays with you forever. 50 years later, you're still going to still feel even deeper love and more. You'll look back on all the good things that happened, and you'll feel even more grateful. There were two tzaddikim once who were thrown in jail. And in this jail, there was no toilet. There was a hole. People had to defecate. They had to go in the hole in the middle of the cell. So one of the tzaddikim, he wrote the introduction to the Tanya. He and his brother, so his brother, famous Rabbi Elimelech, as the Rebbe Elimelech is given there Freilich. So he was very upset. Why? Because he had a toilet there in the cell, he couldn't daven. He was very upset. His brother said to him, "Why are you upset?" He says, "Because I can't daven." He says, "But that's a mitzvah. You'd be happy to daven because you'd be doing a mitzvah. Now you should be happy because you're doing a mitzvah of not davening." Oh, that opened his eyes and his heart. They started to dance and sing. And when the guys saw they were dancing and singing in the cell, they took them out of there. You like it so much. So this love leads the Beinoni to desire to cleave to Hashem through doing mitzvahs, learning Torah, and doing the mitzvahs. Be'ahava, with love. Shazehu inyan hamavur b'kriyas Shema d'oraisa. And when we read the words of the Shema, what do we say when we say Shema? Hear, O Israel, Hashem is our God, Hashem is one. Two different statements, right? He is the king, and he has a connection to us. He's our God. And then what do you say? You shall love the Lord your God. So all this, Moichin, the godless, when you see the sun rising, Hashem is focusing on his godless. He's revealing his godless, which is his greatness. And this causes us to feel a sense of his godless, which is love. And therefore, we fulfill the commandment, you shall love the Lord your God. with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Page 179. And this is not only the meaning of the words of the Shema that we say, it's also the meaning of the blessings that we say before the Shema, which were initiated and ordained by the great rabbis, the great teachers. The things that we say before we say Shema and the things that we say after Shema, the very beautiful thoughts. Shein Midar Rabbanan, these are rabbinical enactments. Hein Hachama, which are here as a preparation, L'kiyum HaKriya Shema, preparation for keeping the mitzvah, doing the mitzvah of saying Kriya Shema properly in the morning. As explained elsewhere. Ba'az, page 179, second paragraph. What happens then? Now you're keeping Shema. Your heart is a flame on the right side of your heart. So what happens? Harash b'chol hasmoli. So the selfishness and egotism, which was doing fine in the left side of the heart until you started thinking like this. Kafufu botol l'teiv. Its toe becomes totally subservient to the good, like a criminal who gets arrested, put into handcuffs, and thrown into jail. Since this is spreading throughout the whole right side of his heart, inspired by his wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, which are in his brain, since they are cleaving to Hashem and focusing on Hashem's greatness. So page 180. So the Yetzer Hara checks out. However, what happens after you finish davening? You had a great davening. Now you had a great davening. You said Shema with love, and you felt so close to Hashem. You felt so good about being Jewish. You know, a person asked Rabbi Chitrik, I told you the story at least a couple of times, what's the secret, Rabbi? How do you serve Hashem with happiness? And he said, be happy you're a Jew. 100 years, more than 100 years of davening and learning Hasidus. There's the drop of pure oil that comes out of it. Be happy you're a Jew. You can serve Hashem, and you can serve God. That's it. Summed up in a nutshell. But then after davening, you go to the lunchroom to have breakfast. Why do you go to lunch to have breakfast? You go to the breakfast room to have breakfast. Okay. After davening, Bistalkus, Hamoichin de Galus. So Hashem begins to, we go into normal mode. Normal mode. We're not seeing the sun rising anymore. We're not seeing the colors splashed across the horizon where the sky, where the dark sky meets the earth, which is the godless, a revelation of the godless, the greatness of the Ein Sof, Baruch of the infinite. Hare, so we don't see this anymore. We go into regular mode, day by day, routine. Ein, yeah. Hare, hara, chayzer. So, says Ra, I had such a good sleep. Now I'm ready for you. He says he comes charging back into the left side of the heart, because until now, all that love spilled over from the right side of the heart into the left side of the heart, and he checked out. Now he sees it's not going on so much. Right, the left side of the heart is just relaxed, and he charges right back in. Umesava taiva, and you just got to get that cup of coffee into me now. All I want is to have a little bit more of the enjoyments that the world has to offer. Okay, that's our share for today. It's a great chapter. More to come. We'll see what we can get done tomorrow. Now 2 more days. I don't know. It's a long chapter. I don't know if we'll finish it.
Thank you, Rabbi Pape.
Oh, Rebbetzin Simcha, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem.
At this moment, we're all very inspired.
Very inspired. Wonderful class, as always.
Okay, Kosher Rev and Pesach, Rebbitzin. Hope to see you tomorrow.
Yeah, same to you. Thank you.
Yes.
Are you gonna say your after bracha?
Thank you for the reminder. Absolutely. See, that's what happens when you get inspired, you forget. Forget what your obligations are. That's a big trick for the Yetzer Hara. It's a good idea at the beginning of the class. I try to do this. Open up to the siddur before I do it. The Rebbe always brought a siddur with him to Farbrengens. Always. Never see the Rebbe come to a Farbrengen without a siddur in his hands. And then at the end of the Farbrengen, everybody benches. The Rebbe takes his siddur, opens it, and says a bracha inside. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei nefashei Yisrael v'yisbachas v'yinan al kol masha barasach v'achayis b'hem nefesh kol chai baruch chei haolamim. When I met a Chabadnik, he said, you should memorize these blessings. You never know when you're going to need them. I wish he had never told me that. Because I did memorize them. And now it's hard not to use them. It's like a Rebbe said to one of my sons once in yeshiva, he said, don't start davening fast. Once you start davening fast, you'll never be able to slow down. Oh no, Rebbe, I'll slow down, he said. Famous last words. And then when they grow up, they realize that they haven't been davening, then they make themselves slow down. A chassid once told me a story about two very simple people who daven very, very, very fast. Very fast. They knocked out their davening in a matter of minutes. And this person, he worked at his davening. It took him hours to daven. He was trying to think of every word. And so he complained. They daven so fast, they don't think of what they're saying. So the Rebbe of the story, anyway, said to him, he said, yeah, because when you were young, you had to struggle to say every single word. So now you say them fast. When they were young, it was easy for them to learn to sit to daven. So now they have to say it slow. He says, but how does one understand this? You know, a father has children and they speak to them in half words. The father understands them. That's what they mean. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good day. This is the one, right?